Hi, this is Season 2, Episode 6. We are interviewing David Lee, who is a very interesting rider. Before that, we will do a quick review on Touratech emergency fuel bag, and then we will talk a little bit about its function, and then we will come back to this interview. Okay?
David Lee.
Okay, quick intro. We're doing a product review on the jerry can with David Lee, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. Right, David, have you seen this before?
No, I've not seen this first time. Look interesting.
Yeah. You travel a lot on your trips. You bring tools with you.
Yes.
Do you bring a jerry can with you, which is big and bulky?
No, I don't carry a jerry can. So far, I've not used anything like this. Primarily because I was riding a GSA,
okay,
which already carries 33 liters of petrol.
So this is what you have, which is a small little plastic bag.
I guess this is good for emergency runs. When you run out of petrol, and you can carry this bag to a gas station,
yeah,
to fill up how much?
So what we can do is do a magic, boom, fill it up with water, and this is what you have. So this jerry can, well, is a fuel bag. It's good for up to 8 liters of fuel, or water, or even wine. It's a food grade that you can, obviously you can't use it for wine and then fill it up with water and fill it up with oil, but you can fill it up with petrol for up to 8 liters.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it has a very innovative locking mechanism here, a simple rubber band, if you can hold on to it, that you can open up, and then that's the nozzle that you can pour and insert water. Once you're done, you fold it up to stop it from leaking, insert it into the groove here, like this, roll it up, okay, and then use the rubber band to hold it in place. And it's leak-proof. You can turn it around.
I guess this will come in handy when we ran out of petrol in Myanmar.
Or beer.
Yeah.
You can fill it up with beer and take it somewhere.
Yeah, cool. So when it's not in use, you can pack it into that very small bag. Huh?
When you're
doesn't
not
take up
in
space.
use, it's super slim, small little pack like this.
Nice.
Cost-wise, this is $18. Very reasonable, and it's of a very good quality as well. Yep.
Water not included.
Water not included.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, let's go. With me here, I have David Lee, a very interesting guy. I met David probably 10 years ago, almost, when I first bought my GS.
Yeah.
Gave him a lot of white hair, but he dyed his hair black now, so it's okay. Very interesting guy. He traveled a lot in Indochina,
right,
and a lot of his trips are off the beaten track. So we are here to talk to him a little bit about some of the trips. And also, David was a service advisor with PML. So we are also going to pick his brains on how to prepare a bike before we go on a trip. David, maybe introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your biking history.
Okay.
How did you start riding when you were 5 years old?
I started at 16. Back in 19...
Got license or not then?
Yes. I took my license. I took my license in
The proper way?
1985. At that time, the test center was in Queenstown. I think way before SSTC was open.
Okay.
So at that time, I think we had provisional driving riders can ride on the road with the L plate.
Yep.
Yeah, those were the days. So since 85. And I only started going overseas, I think in 98, 99, with a group of riders. They are the ones that brought me up to Thailand.
Where's the furthest you've been? Up to China? Have you been?
No, okay. Up to the first time I went to Thailand, or the furthest was Kanchanaburi with the group. After that, the itch started lah. You just want to go further and further, and
You did a solo ride.
yes, I did the solo ride in 2011. But up to that point in 2011, the furthest I've been to was Kanchanaburi.
Okay, quick question to you. You are mechanic by profession.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the few things that you would do to prepare your bike before a trip and during a trip? Obviously, you will not bring a whole workshop with you because you are limited by the number of tools you can have, and also the spare parts and what you can and cannot do.
Correct.
So what are the preparation before a trip?
Essentially, before it depends first of all, how long are you going to do this trip? You roughly can estimate the distance you're going to cover. Right? Let's say if it's a 6,000 kilometer or 10,000, then in every trip, you will also prepare basically brake pads, make sure they are enough, tires, make sure they are adequate, batteries, make sure they are fairly new. If your batteries is almost 2 years old, I guess instead of carrying a spare battery, right, which takes up weight and space, why don't just change it?
Just change a new battery,
You have a brand new battery, and you can be assured it will last the whole trip. Because a motorcycle trip we don't have the comfort of luxury and space, right? These are how to say,
limited in
so
what we can carry.
We have to watch what we can carry, and if we can avoid, of course, if we can eliminate carrying a battery, why not? Things like that.
Okay, you're like I said, you are a mechanic, right? So the question to you is, what is the fruit of thought that you have? The fruit of thought is, if you can repair it, fine. If you cannot repair it,
okay, I will normally bring tools that I can repair on the road or by the roadside.
Yep.
Things that I cannot do by the roadside, I will not carry. Okay, for example, tire repair kit. All right, don't just because of a puncture you are stranded. So essentially, one of the skills, I guess, as a long distance tourer, you will need to be able to fix your own tire.
Yep.
So the tools that you carry will be also tire repair kit, and maybe few sets of basic tools that you can fix by the road.
Yep.
Even spare parts, I will normally bring electronic items. They are small, light, and if they are easily accessible on the bike to be replaced, fine.
Yep.
If they are right inside, then you have to cope.
Okay. This is what I mean by even though you have all the tools, if it's something that you cannot repair, something like this electronic, no matter how good a mechanic you are, also you are stranded. Right?
When you go for long distance, you are basically dependent on local resources.
Yes.
Right? So
Exactly.
before you embark, roughly, if you know where you're going, you will try to find if there are any authorized dealers in that country, where they are, get their phone numbers, or even a GPS location.
There's another interesting point. I did a trip. Maybe you can share your insight into this. We had a guy that refused to pump 95 octane on his bike. He only pumps 97 octane.
Reason being?
His bike has always used 97 octane, and he says, I will carry on only using 97 octane. So, as a mechanic,
So
from your
I think
point,
you didn't read the manual.
yes, I think the manual actually states.
Another thing about doing long trip is you have to know your bike a little bit more. That means what fuel it can take, the minimum it can take, and what kind of engine oil it takes. So you have to know your bike a little bit more. Now, regarding petrol and the octane rating, a lot of the Euro 3, 4, and 5 bikes now, the minimum you can take is 95.
Yes.
So no issue.
So even if you have to pump 92 octane, for example, for
emergency cases,
if
you when we went to Myanmar in 2016, we ran out of fuel.
Yep.
So we had no choice but even to buy petrol from the roadside in those
Glass bottles.
glass bottles, and their colors all vary.
Different whiskeys.
Yes. So what octane rating, we have no idea. But it was emergency, and we had to get to the nearest town. So that was the only resource left.
You should.
So we still
pour it in the bike,
correct.
and as
so
long as you can.
with today's electronic fuel injection, with NOx sensors and everything, it does know what petrol you have put in, and if it's bad, or low octane rating, the ECU will know how to adjust its
It will
timing. Yes.
adjust the.
But we, on our part, if we know that the petrol is not up to the octane rating, we should also control our throttle.
Yes.
So if we can minimize our throttle just for normal riding, we should keep it at that. The octane rating,
Rather than stress the bike
Yes,
and
correct.
do high RPM
until
just
you put in fresh fuel.
until you put in fresh fuel.
But this is emergency.
3 typical things that you will check on your bike. Let's say you're in the middle of a trip, 2-month long trip, and you're on your 17th day, and you wake up one morning. What's the first thing you do?
During my trips, every day the first thing I would do, to check tire pressure. You can kick it, you can use your tire gauge. Number 2 is check engine oil level.
Yes.
All right, essential. And number 3, if your bike is a chain drive, you will have to loop the chain. I loop my chain almost every day, or you can have the modern Scott oiler,
Yep.
if you have it. So chain is essential. All right, then of course you check your brakes and your lighting, and then we, especially in countries like Vietnam and Laos, where roads are dusty, we have to clean our lights every day. All right, the brake lights, the headlights, and your signal. These are.
And what I noticed when traveling with David, he packs light, even with the spares that he carries around. His luggage is one of the smallest and the lightest.
Yeah, but doesn't mean there's nothing inside. Basically what I pack is I follow simple rule. If I go for 3 weeks, I only pack for 3 days. Right? So in between, wash.
Wash, yeah.
Like I said, we don't have the luxury. We are not driving an SUV. We don't have the luxury of space.
Yep.
So what I pack is just for 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, you have your spare socks, your spare gloves. These are the essentials.
Okay. Camping or non-camping? Once you
I have not done camping. Okay, I only did once camping. But in Thailand, the camping now is not camping, it's glamping.
Glamping. Yeah.
They have the tent all perched up for you. All you have to
Luxury
do is just pay 400 baht in the nature reserve and you drag your tent to your favorite spot. So it's all set up for you. So I've done that only once, but I've not done those, the actual camping itself. So for me, that's why I can pack light because I
Very
don't
light.
pack tent. I don't need to pack a tent. So for me, it's Airbnb.
Yes.
All the way Airbnb. The other thing about my trip is there is no pre-booking of any hotels. So I arrive to that town, I will just find accommodation.
So it's kind of free and easy. You're tired, you stop, you rest. If you're not, you just keep
I
riding.
don't like this notion of predetermining where I need to be at that point of time. That is not, to me, not so free anymore. So accommodation-wise, I didn't have any issues so far. I'm ready to stay from guest house
Yeah.
to hotel.
Never an issue.
never
Okay,
an issue.
another one.
Yeah.
Beaches or mountains?
Definitely mountain.
Mountains.
So mountain roads are one of the most interesting for me. Twisty, windy.
Because of the cooler weather, or
Cooler weather, one thing. Because it's also interesting. It's not so straightforward.
literally.
It keeps you on your toes all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to be alert, and not just for animals, but also for other drivers, especially in the bends.
Okay, this is a question not because of your background, where you work or what you're doing now. If you can have a dream bike to travel the world, the dream bike,
Travel the world.
yes, what bike would it be and why? You have done
Not
chain
being
drive,
any
you have done shaft drive, you have done BMW.
Not being biased to any brand.
No brands at all. Your dream bike.
My dream bike will still be my old bike, which is the BMW R1200 GS.
Good choice.
Not the GSA, which I find it's a little bit too big now for me.
Yeah.
I still stick to the GS with the air cool.
The air cool version.
version, yes, up to year 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, I still like that
Because of its reliability.
because of
or-
its bulletproof
vibration?
engine. No, that's just basically the bulletproof engine. Right, I didn't have any issues with that engine. That my old bike served me, I think, 8 years, 180,000 kilometers.
no
Did
issue.
not
at all.
leave me stranded once. Right, of course, you have to do your regular maintenance, pre-check, everything. But it did not fail me.
I have one question. When the border opens, where is this one place that you would like to ride your bike to?
go see my Thai friends in Thailand.
Pisanulok.
Yeah.
One of them. Yeah. Okay, that's it for episode 6 here in Tracks. We thank you, David, for your time today.
Welcome.
And for episode 7.
Yeah, for episode 7, we have Carl. We're interviewing Carl, talking to him about his adventure, or rather misadventure in Singapore. Once again, thank you very much, David, for having us here in Tracks. If you need your bike checked out before you go on a trip, please speak to David, get it ready to go.
Welcome
See you
to help.
episode 7.
Right.